Is college the biggest scam of 2026 and beyond? I think right now is a really important time to be asking this question because with it being the new year, you have a lot of students that are either sending out applications or even receiving acceptance letters from colleges, and they're in a position now where they have to make that decision on whether or not they want to spend tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on getting a 4-year degree. Now, if you're a Gen Z or a millennial, you probably grew up hearing the same story that I did, which is that you need to go to college and get a degree, and that's all you have to do if you want to land a nice white collar 9 to 5 job that gives you enough money so that you can buy a house and drive a nice car and just live an overall comfortable life. And on the flip side, if you didn't go to college, you would basically end up like Micro on Dirty Jobs, just knee deep in some shit down in a sewer and just doing all the brutal work no one else wants to do. So I think it's safe to say that pretty much everyone in my generation ended up going to college. And on top of that, I mean, pretty much everyone was told that whatever degree you got, it didn't really matter that much. As long as you finished school and just had that piece of paper, your employers would see you as hardworking and hireable right out of school. But over the past few years, I think a lot of that has changed, and the reality just is that that doesn't hold up anymore. There's a lot of people that are struggling now because of the choices that they made when they were 18, and that whole college equals guaranteed success story just doesn't hold up anymore. So in this video, I just wanted to break down what has actually changed and what you should do moving forward if you're still thinking about going to college. So before we can get into whether or not you should go to college, I think I need to debunk the big two narratives that a lot of us grew up believing about college and that I think are still being told a lot today. And the first is that if you want a good life, you pretty much have to go to college and there's no way around it. And I think once upon a time this did used to definitely be true, but nowadays we're watching people that are doing exactly what they were told. They go to college, they get a 4-year degree, and they graduate. But instead of immediately stepping into great high paying roles, a lot of people are struggling. And I'm sure you've been seeing it all over TikTok and all over the news where tons of recent graduates are unemployed or they're underemployed or they're just working jobs that have nothing to do with their degree while still drowning in debt. I mean, I know you've probably seen the videos of people crying in their car about how they have $60,000 in loans and can only get a job at Starbucks. Meanwhile, there's lots of people that didn't take that traditional path and instead they went to a 2-year technical degree or maybe they got an apprenticeship in the trades and now they're just making great money. So they spent those same 4 years earning money and saving and investing rather than paying tens of thousands of dollars in tuition. So really when you compare them like that, I think it's safe to say that college is just not automatically that path to a good life anymore. So the second narrative that I remember hearing a lot when I was growing up is that it doesn't matter what you major in when you go to college, as long as you get some type of degree and graduate. And I think this advice has really been a disservice to our generation because from what I've seen, your major now matters more than anything else. And I remember when I was in high school and you would talk to your buddies about, where you were going to college, and it seemed like no one cared what you were going to study. The only thing that people cared about was where you were going to school. And if word got around that you were going to some big prestigious state school, everyone automatically assumed that you were destined for success and you were going to be the most successful person in your class. But on the flip side, if you told people you're going to a smaller school or maybe a community college, everyone kind of wrote you off as, going nowhere in life. But I think it's funny in retrospect because none of that really mattered. And the people that had the best outcomes after college were the ones that chose the right majors. I mean, you could have a terrible GPA in high school and just go to a lower tier school, but still study engineering or nursing and come out in a fantastic position. Meanwhile, you could be the top of your graduating class in high school and go to the elite state school and major in something with weak job demand, and you'll still come out struggling to find work. So, into 2026 and beyond, I think the reality is that where you go matters less than ever, but what you study matters more than ever. So, to really understand whether or not college is still worth it, I decided to look at the top 5 most popular majors and see what would happen if you graduated with each of those today. Now, from my research, it looked like the most popular majors were starting at number 1, business, then nursing, then you have social studies and history, followed by biology, and then finally psychology. And I'm sure after you've heard that list, you can already start to see why so many people are struggling. Psychology and biology both sound great in theory, but with just a bachelor's degree, they're pretty brutal in the job market. Most people don't become psychologists or doctors or specialized scientists with a 4 year degree. Those careers require grad school, which means more time, more money, and way more debt. And the same thing applies with social studies and the humanities. You really just have to have a really specialized plan on what you're going to do, otherwise, it's just not worth it. So, already 3 out of the top 5 majors are going to leave you most likely working at your local Chipotle rather than having a job you've actually worked for. Now, on the other hand, nursing is probably one of the best degrees in the entire economy right now. It's got demand pretty much all over the world, and with the baby boomer generation continuing to get older, it's just going to have more and more demand moving forward. And the final degree on the list, which is business, can be pretty good, but only really if you specialize in something like accounting or finance. If you decide to just do general business, you're probably just going to get burned because you're going to have so much competition just fighting for the same entry level jobs. You're going to have some insane experience, or else you're never going to make it. And I think one of the biggest problems is that most people don't treat college like an investment. It's usually just treated as something that they'll figure out later as long as they just have a degree in their hands. And I think that mindset is why we see so many people that are just piling into these majors like psychology and biology without really thinking about what comes after college. I mean, think about it like this. You would never just take $60,000 and throw it in a meme stock and then just say, it'll blow up eventually and then just walk away. But that's basically what a lot of people are doing when they pick a college, pick a major, and then sign up for something that has massive debt without really any real plan of how that degree is actually going to pay off. So, moving forward, you need a new strategy. You need to know why you're going to school, what job your major will realistically lead to, how much it pays, and what demand looks like. And most of all, you need to have a backup plan in case your first path doesn't work out. So if I was 18 again, would I still go to college? And honestly, I think the answer is pretty nuanced. I don't think college is automatically a scam, but it absolutely can become one if you go in blind. So if I chose to go to college in 2026, I'd want to be very intentional about 2 things: my major and my cost. For my degree, I'd pick something with a very clear return on investment like engineering, tech, or healthcare. On the flip side, I would avoid generic degrees that have weak job prospects unless I had a very specific plan on how exactly I was going to make them pay off. I also wouldn't pay luxury prices for a brand name school just to feel prestigious. Instead, I'd look for a cheaper state school or even a 2 year community college that I could then transfer to a state school from, because it's the same degree for way less debt. And if you're not sure that you want to go to college, you still have so many options. You could choose a 2 year technical program that could have you earning more than a lot of people with 4 year degrees right out of school. And there's also the trades, which are very respectable and have strong income, career stability, and even give you the opportunity to start your own business one day. So at the end of the day, the real question isn't really whether or not college is a scam. It's more so if you're treating college like an intentional investment or just a leap of faith. Because most of the people that say college is a scam are the ones that went to the expensive schools, got the least marketable degrees, and had no real plan, and now they're just shocked that the math doesn't work out for them. You need to have intention about where you're going, what you study, and how much it costs. And if you're not sure yet about your plan, there's nothing wrong with taking a year to work a side job and just think about what you want to do with your life, because it's way better than rushing yourself into debt that you're not sure about. The truth is, college can absolutely change your life, but it can also trap you financially for decades. The difference comes down to whether you make that decision with clarity or just based on vibes. So don't treat college like a guaranteed path to success. Treat it like an investment where you know the cost, know the return, and you know the risk. That way you can choose wisely.